Partner 1 answered, "Today." Partner 2, "I can't remember the last time. This is not a test about who's right." One couple paused on this question for about 10 seconds. A husband named something his wife had been doing every single morning for 3 years. She said, "I had no idea you even noticed." If you just thought, how would my partner answer that? This is exactly why this video exists. Hello. If your partner is next to you right now, or if you're just thinking about them while you watch this, I have one question for you before we start. When was the last time you were completely sure you knew how your partner really felt about you, and then found out you were wrong? Not about betrayal, not about something big. I mean the small things. You were sure your partner thought they were more involved in running the household than you believed. Or that they remembered that conversation exactly the way you did. Or that when they say everything is fine, it means the same thing it means when you say it. Let's be honest. You probably have a phrase you say to each other almost every day. Something like, "I'm okay, it's nothing. Don't worry about it." And you both nod as if it means the same thing. But if you actually unpack that phrase, you'd find that each of you has built a completely different meaning inside it, and you've never compared notes. Who remembers each other's friends' birthdays? Who notices when the other person is in a bad mood before they've said a single word? Who believes they carry more responsibility for keeping this relationship from falling apart? If an answer just flashed through your mind and that answer was me, I have a somewhat uncomfortable statistic for you. Your partner at this exact moment most likely has the same answer about themselves. Here's the strange part. The longer two people are together, the more certain each of them becomes that they are in sync. And that's precisely why no one ever checks. Nobody sits down and asks, "Do you actually think the same way I do?" Because it sounds like the beginning of a fight. It sounds like an accusation, even when that's the last thing you meant. So most couples just live with the assumption. For months, for years, sometimes for an entire relationship. Today we are going to test that assumption. For real. Without picking, without "I already know what you'll say." And yes, I know that's exactly what you are thinking right now. That's the whole point. There is a concept used by the Gottman Institute, an organization that has spent decades studying real couples to understand what actually makes relationships last and what slowly destroys them. It's called the perception gap. The distance between what's actually happening and what each partner believes is happening. This gap isn't a sign that something is wrong with your relationship. It exists in every single couple, even those who've been together 20 years and look like the perfect example from the outside. The question isn't whether the gap exists, the question is whether you know about it. And here's what's genuinely interesting. Couples who are aware of their gaps don't argue any less than couples who aren't, but they argue differently. They don't spend the first 15 minutes of a fight trying to prove I am right and you're wrong, because they already have a map of exactly where they see things differently, and they go straight to talking about what actually matters, instead of circling around it forever. The same research describes a pattern called the Four Horsemen, four communication styles that most reliably predict a couple will have serious problems. And do you know what three of the four have in common? All three begin not with conflict itself, but with an unchecked assumption about what the other person is thinking. I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a therapist, and I'm not trying to be one in this video. I won't give you a diagnosis, and I won't tell you who's right. What I'm offering is a structure for one specific conversation that most couples have simply never had, because there was never a reason to start it. One rule: you answer separately from your partner. They don't see your answer until they finished theirs. I'm going to ask you 3 questions right now, so you can experience the format from the inside, rather than just hear about it. Question 1. When was the last time you felt truly heard by your partner? Not listened to while they nodded, but the moment when you felt they actually understood you completely. Take a second. Don't answer me. answer yourself. If the answer came immediately, good. If you had to think longer than you expected, that's information too. Valuable information. Question 2. What do you think your partner considers their greatest contribution to this relationship? Not what you appreciate about them, but what you believe they themselves would name as their contribution. And now the interesting part. Is that different from what you would name as their contribution if someone asks you directly? If yes, hold on to that feeling of mismatch. You'll need it in a few minutes, and it matters more than it might seem right now. Question 3. If you had to describe in one phrase what you argue about most, not a one-off fight, but the recurring story, what would that phrase be? Hold all three answers in your mind. Don't let go of them. Don't try to check whether you guessed right. We'll come back to them. Not in a minute, but a little later, when you're least expecting it. Before we go further, a small experiment right here in the comments. And it doesn't require your partner at all. There are 6 questions in the checkup with specific answer options where you either match or you don't. Write a number in the comments from 0 to 6. How many do you think you and your partner will agree on? Don't overthink it. The first number that came to mind is the right one. And there is a reason it matters to do this now, before the test. While you don't know the result, your prediction is honest. Afterward, it gets adjusted backward to fit the facts. And yes, I'll look through the comments and reply to the people who come back after doing the test with their partner and write how close they were. Remember at the beginning, the couple who paused for 10 seconds on one question. That was question 7, the one that's only in the bot. And I'm deliberately not going to tell you which one it is, because if I name it now, you'll start preparing a right answer without realizing it. And the entire point of this exercise is honesty before you knew you were being compared. The same logic applies to the husband who named a habit his wife had that went unnoticed for 3 years. He wasn't preparing his answer, he just said what he thought, and that's exactly why it worked. So here's the deal. You go through the remaining 7 questions in the bot right now, without preparation, on the same honest impulse you used to answer my 3 questions a minute ago. And I'll spend the next minute explaining what you'll see in the result, and why it's not scary, even if the answers don't match. Here's how it works. Go to the link below the video. The bot will ask you the remaining 7 questions, one at a time, at whatever pace feels comfortable. When you finish, you'll receive your pair's code and a ready-made message for your partner, already written so it doesn't sound like a complaint. And here's one important thing I want to be clear about. You invite your partner into the bot personally, in Telegram, with that message the bot generates for you. Not through the comments, not through a shared link for everyone, because each couple gets their own code. And that's how the bot knows you're answering each other, rather than some random person from the internet who's also watching this video right now. The video itself, on the other hand, share it wherever you want, with your partner, in a group chat, in a family chat. It works on its own, without the bot, as a conversation about something a lot of people recognize. The more people see the video, the better. But the bot is only for the person you personally invite. When your partner finishes their part, you'll both see not scores, not who's right. You'll see where you agreed and one moment where you saw things differently. No judgment, just a map for a conversation that might otherwise not have happened for another year. And just in case, if the bot doesn't open, there's a text version of the checkup in the pinned comment that you can go through even in your phone's Notes app. So you'll get the value either way. No technical issues will take that from you. Now, there might be a few thoughts in your head. Let's go through them. What if my partner refuses? Then you've already learned something, and for free. Not about your partner, about how your relationship currently handles conversations like this. That's information too, and it's not less valuable than the test itself. What if our answers are very different? That's not a diagnosis, and it's not a verdict on your relationship. A gap in perception is the beginning of a conversation, not its end. For couples who've done this before you, the mismatch most often opened up a topic they'd been avoiding for months, not because they were afraid of it, but simply because they didn't know how to start. And the third one. Won't this make it look like I'm picking a fight? That's exactly why I'm saying it plainly from the start. Don't send this as a complaint. Just say, go through your part, I'm curious to compare. That one sentence takes away almost all the tension, and the message the bot generates is already written in exactly that tone. And one last thing. If you're thinking right now, we probably already know everything about each other. What's the point? 5 minutes to test that thought costs a lot less than years of living with an assumption you've never once checked. Remember the 10-second pause from the beginning of this video? It was a question about what your partner considers care toward you, something you might not have even been registering as care. That couple, the husband named something his wife had been doing every single morning for 3 years. And she said, I had no idea you even noticed. That's what all of this exists for. Not for scores, not for who's right. For the moment when someone finds out they've been seen all along, and nobody ever said it out loud. The link to the bot is below the video and in the pinned comment. Go through your part now, while the feeling is there, and send your partner personally the message the bot gives you at the end. And the video, if you want, share it right now, before you even do the test. Let your partner watch it before they get your link to the bot, so they have context, instead of just a strange link from out of nowhere. If you left a number in the comments earlier, come back in a couple of days, once you've both finished the test, and write under your own comment how close you were. I genuinely want to see the range, and I'll reply to the ones who were closest. If the idea resonated with you, that relationships can be tested with small, honest experiments rather than only through arguments, subscribe. The next checkup is about who actually carries more of the load at home. And spoiler, usually both partners are certain it's them. See you next week, and in the comments.